Thank you to GD Goenka University for inviting me here. I'm going to talk today about something that's very dear to me, very close to my heart, and it's about kindness and empathy and the role they can play in successful leadership. So, about a year ago, I had the chance to lead a very dynamic women's organization which had been around for 22 years with a goal to promote women's empowerment, women entrepreneurs, professionals, bring them together to create a network. Sounds amazing, right? Like, what could go wrong? But uh, when I took over this organization, it wasn't what it was meant. It wasn't doing what it was meant to do, and there were a lot of problems. There were a lot of challenges. I'm just going to talk about a few of them. The first was low trust. We had members who did not want to attend anything. They did not know why they had become members anymore. They did not want to renew their memberships. They did not want to recommend their peers to join us. Our communications were very poor. We were being perceived as sort of a women's kitty party rather than a women's empowerment group. Our team was demotivated. They didn't know why they had signed up to be part of this team. What were they supposed to be doing? They didn't know how they could contribute. We had very low brand visibility in the sense that we worked in collaboration and partnerships with other brands across Delhi, and nobody wanted to partner with us because they were like, what is the brand value that you are adding? When we put both our logos together, something's got to work, right? We had disengaged members. Members not only didn't want to come, but they were questioning what was the reason for our organization to exist? What value were we adding to their lives? We had no partnerships. So, pretty much everything was in disarray when I took on the leadership of this organization, to the extent that we were being unfollowed on our social media accounts. So, in this day and age of social media, we're always tracking how many followers do we have. And we actually sat and did an analysis of how over time we were being unfollowed by people. And that's terrible for anyone to be in a position like that, for any organization to be in a position like that. So we were thinking, what do we do? Firstly, I began to think that why was I even doing this? Who chooses to lead an organization which is in this kind of situation? But there was a very deep reason, and I'll mention it. It was very personal. So I had benefited a lot actually from being a member of this organization. I'm not from Delhi. When I moved here, when I started my first entrepreneurial venture, it gave me a lot of opportunity to showcase what I was doing. It gave me an opportunity to meet a lot of very, very smart people, make friendships that have lasted over a decade. I met two of my icons multiple times through this organization. I met the Dalai Lama twice, received his blessings, which was amazing. I met somebody called Carrie Mottridge, who's a philanthropist in the US, and her model of giving back, creating giving circles, has really inspired me in what I do today. So for me, it was like, okay, if this worked for me, why is it not working anymore? And what can I do to fix this? The other idea was that, this organization has such a big legacy. So why let it go? Like, how can it just get watered down like this? We can fix this. This is something that we can do. We just need to figure out what is going wrong. We need to really put our minds to it, and we need to find that path. But how was I going to do this? It's not so easy. And I had a 1 year time period in which I had to turn the whole thing around. It's not like I had 5 years or 10 years. I had 1 year as the leader of this organization, and I had to turn it around in 12 months. So, how was it going to happen? So, the first thing I did was I put kindness, I put inclusivity, empathy at the center of everything that we did. Because I was inspired by people who have come in at difficult times when everything seems chaotic, The world around them is speaking a very different language, and they have used this tool of empathy and inclusivity to bring change. Of course, my organization was very small compared to the kind of revolutionary change that these men and women have brought about. But I felt that this was the only way to bring this kind of change in such a short period of time. It cannot be something that can be done top down, but it has to be an inclusive model. We have to go back to our roots of truly being an organization and not a hierarchy, but an organization in which everybody is an important part of it. So, how did we do that? The first thing we did was we tried to listen. We tried to listen to our members. We tried to go and talk to them. We put out a form in our group and encouraged members to fill it up. We asked them, why did you join this organization? What are you looking to benefit from it? Why do you come to our programs and workshops? What are your aspirations in life? What are you looking for? This is something that had never been done before. So when I put that form out, members were like, oh my God, like, why was this never done before? And I was like, I don't know, but it's so simple. I made a Google form, put it on our WhatsApp group, and immediately we got so many responses. And it was really, really touching to read those responses because people actually felt very deeply about the organization, but we were not able to capture it because we had never done this exercise. So we got such amazing learnings just from that one simple activity of just trying to listen. That listening allowed us to learn. We really learned about who are the people that we are trying to help. That listening allowed us to read, to prepare, to ask the right questions. And immediately, right from the very first month, we were able to change how people were perceiving us. What were they getting by attending our events, our workshops, our partnerships? The other thing that was important to me was honesty. Not trying to project something on social media, but actually offering something else. Our mandate became, look, this is an honest place where you come, you pay your fees, you attend things, you learn things, you go back, but you cannot do that without paying your fees. So imagine people had paid fees 5 years ago and they were still attending everything that we were doing and they had never paid their fees again and nobody bothered to check. Now, without that fee, how are we going to survive, right? And it was a very difficult thing to do. Everybody told me that, don't bring this up because nobody will sign up again, nobody will attend things, just forget about it. I said, no, but we have to be honest about who we are. And we do need this money to function. We can't function pro bono. So I was like, look, if you want to attend things, you have to pay this fee. It's a nominal fee, but for us, it's a big sum. We created a beautiful deck. We took it to brands and corporates around the city about all the programming that we were planning. And we said, this is what we offer. This is what we will give to your brand. This is the kind of placement, etc. And we worked really hard on that to give them the right kind of visibility, right kind of messaging. So honesty became, again, one of the tools that we harnessed to bring back credibility. We created a clear channel of communication between us and our members, between us and what was being projected on our social media. So we changed our social media from being focused on a single person to focusing on the organization. One of my biggest mandates to my social media team was I don't want to see my face on our page. It's not about me, it's about all my members, it's about all the women we work with in the society. So I want to see their faces, I want to hear from them. I don't want it to become about me. I want to see inspirational things on our page so that even if somebody doesn't live in Delhi, they want to join our page just to see what's going on and be inspired. I work with my team to really empower them. If my team that was part of the leadership structure was not in on all of these things, on listening, on empathy, on honesty, on communication, all of this would fall apart, right? So we had meetings, calls, and every time I would just tell them, just be kind to everyone. Whenever you attend something, meet 10 people, ask them how they're doing, learn what they're looking for. Please be kind to everyone. Even if they annoy the hell out of you and ask a million questions, just be kind to everyone and listen. Because in that listening, you will get 10 ideas. And immediately, everyone on my team began to really own their roles. They began to really come up with amazing ideas of things we could do together. So, what we began to do was really co create. Instead of it being like a top down, I'm giving you this is so amazing, you should benefit from it, we really genuinely began to co create and collaborate. I'll give you an example. One of the things that we did um, one of the things that we do is also work with a lot of women from less privileged communities to give them skills, workshops, etc., which can help them harness their careers. So we decided that we can't do it alone anymore. We need to get into partnerships with credible organizations. So we went to some of the largest organizations that work in this space and we told them, look, we will work hard to get permissions from government, from local agencies, etc., to do, say, we started menstrual hygiene workshops in public schools in Delhi. Uh, and this was an organization that's part of a CSR arm of a large corporate. So they were like, why would we work with you? I said, well, the USP is that we've spent the last 1 month really studying all the public schools in the state. This is our report. We've spoken to the concerned government department. They are willing to back us. So you come here and you do this. And trust me, just having that honest conversation changed everything. So this was what our entire system changed towards, and we called it Thrive. The idea was we thrive, you thrive, everybody thrives together. And success is not just about doing well, but about thriving. And we reached that point where everybody couldn't complete a sentence without using the word thrive. And that really became the centerpiece of everything. So, what did we achieve by focusing on listening, on empathy, on inclusivity, and this idea of thrive? In 1 year, we signed up 150 plus new members, which was a record for our organization and for all branches across India. We added 10,000 plus followers on social media, all organically. We did 50 plus brand collaborations. And the main thing was that our organization became a safe space for women's voices. We suddenly had speakers come in who were like, okay, can I want to talk about the most traumatic experiences in my life because I feel safe that I can do it here. So we were able to get speakers to open up about things that they had never done before. We had members who were feeling so comfortable to share about so many problems that they face because they felt that if they came here, they can really get a solution. So that's what we managed to achieve by just keeping in mind this idea that being kind, empathetic, inclusive is the way to a new leadership system. We are surrounded in a world where there's so much noise. Being the loudest one in the room, the one making tall claims, often gets you a lot of time on social media, it gets you a lot of attention. But please remember, there are many, many people who are actually craving for a more quieter kind of leadership. A leadership that's more inclusive, it's researched, it's backed by facts, it's made by listening to everyone. So just be patient and follow your heart. Thank you so much.